Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Specialist Removable Kemp, and today we'll go over how to measure a distance on the map. We are going to do this with two different scenarios. We will measure a straight line distance on the map and a curved line distance on the road on the map. The task number for this lesson is 071-Charlie Oscar Mike-1008. Before we get started with today's lesson, we will go over the task conditions and standards. The task is how to measure a distance on a map. For disclosure, this training product has been reviewed by the training developers in coordination with the G2 Fort Benning, Georgia 31905 Foreign Disclosure Officer. This training product can be used to instruct international military students from all approved countries without restrictions. The conditions are: you are a member of a squad or team in a field environment that has been directed to know the distance between two known points. You have a 1 by 50,000 scale map and a white strip of paper with a straight edge like so and a pencil. You have been shown the beginning points and end points on the map, and on this map here I already labeled the beginning points and end points for the straight line and for the curved line. The standards are: determine the straight line distance in meters with no more than 5% error, and determine the curved line distance of 2 points in meters with no more than 10% error. This training is unclassified. The risk assessment for today is pretty low. Just watch out for the wildlife. If you see wildlife, do not pet the wildlife. And if you also see it, notify your team leader or NCO. And watch out for the weather just in case of a storm, but we should be good because we are in a covered area. And also, we have water points set out here, so there will be no dehydration. Keep in mind the COVID-19 guidelines. If you cannot maintain 6 feet apart, make sure you are wearing a mask. All right, I will go over the uniform for today. The uniform will be OCP with authorized boots, ACH, iPro, your gloves, your flick with your magazine pouches, and your weapon along with a water source. Remember, it is the responsibility for all DA, civilian, and soldiers to preserve and maintain the environment. We are going to go ahead and get started with today's lesson. I'm going to give you a quick demonstration before we actually jump into the lesson and have you all practice, and then I'll evaluate you. After the demonstration, I will further explain what I just did so you can have a better understanding of it. Then I'll have you practice. Then we'll make sure we have all of our supplies, do a final inspection, and then we'll be good to go. All right, I will now get started with today's demonstration. All right, I just now demonstrated for you the distance for the straight line distance and also the distance for a curved line distance. Now I'm going to give you a brief demonstration, a brief description of what I just performed. All right, so like I said, there's two different points on the map. One is for the straight line distance and one is for the curved line distance on the road. I will go over the performance steps with you for each of these. You have to identify the scale on the map. The scale map is anywhere between 1 to 50,000. Distance on the map, which is 1 inch relative to the distance on the ground. With that being said, this means for every 1 inch that's on this map is equivalent to 50,000 inches that on the ground. You will convert the straight line distance to miles, yards, or meters. But in this lesson, like I said, we will be doing meters. For a distance that is 1 inch or less than 1 inch, line the straight edge piece of paper at the beginning and end points of the map. Put a tick mark at the beginning and end points on the straight edge paper. So let me demonstrate again. So this is my straight edge piece of paper, and then I will just line it up with my beginning points and just put a small tick mark where my beginning point is at. Then I'll line up my end point on the map and put a tick mark right under the end point. And after that, you'll line your starting point with the bar scale where the zero's at. Like I said before, this is the bar scale on the map. And wherever your starting point is at from your straight line distance, you'll line that tick mark up with the 0. So you'll line that up with the 0. And then at your end point, my end point is right here. So the next thing is you'll see which number on the bar scale is closer to your end point. For instance, with this straight line distance, my 3 is closer to my end point. So I will put another tick mark under the 3. Do I have any questions so far? All right. So after I put that next tick mark under the 3, I will move to something called the extension scale. The extension scale is the scale left of the 0. We call that the extension scale, versus the scale right of the 0 is the primary scale. So with the new tick mark I made, I will move that new tick mark right under the 0, as you can see here. And on the extension scale, for every increment that's highlighted equals 100. So you'll use the tick mark from the tick mark I got from the 3 and from your end point, and you'll just count every increment until you get to your end point. For instance, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So with that being said, since I did it under the 3, that's equivalent to 3,000 meters. So I would do 3,000 meters minus 400, and my straight line distance is a total of 2,600 meters in a straight line. Do I have any questions so far? All right. So we'll move into the curved line distance. Curved line distance is somewhat different from the straight line distance. So for the curved line distance, you'll determine the points that are labeled on the map, and I have it labeled point C and D on the map. All right, and then you'll convert those measurements into miles, yards, or meters, but we'll be doing meters for this one as well. So with the straight line edge of paper like this, you will put your straight line edge paper with the beginning point of point C. And everywhere the road curves at, you will put a new tick mark and turn your paper everywhere there is a curve until you get to your point D, which is the end point. Do I have any questions so far? All right. So with that being said, with the curve line distance, I will find my distance for this. And after I find all my tick marks on the curve, you will do the same as you did for your straight line distance. So I will line it up with the 0 under the bar scale on the primary scale. So I'll line up my start point with the 0. And with this one, it's closer to the 2. So I'll just put a tick mark behind it, and then I'll move to the extension scale and find that difference the same way I did with my straight line distance. Instead of subtracting, I will add. So I will add 2,000 plus 400 equals 2,400 meters. Do I have any questions on what we went over? All right. Now I will give you 5 minutes to practice on your own. All right. Now we will move into the evaluation portion of the task. Everyone should have a piece of straight edge paper, like so, a map of Fort Rucker military installation like I do, and a pencil. I have marked 4 points on your map for you. Point A and point B I marked right here. That's your straight line distance that you're going to convert into meters. Point C and D will be your curve line distance I marked right here, and you'll also convert that into meters. First thing I need you all to do is identify the scale on the map. Now that you conducted the straight line, now I need you to conduct the straight line distance with point A and B using the bar scale. Now I need you to conduct the curve line distance using C and D using the bar scale as well. I'll give you 5 minutes to work on that task before I evaluate you all. All right, I got your evaluation papers, and 2 of you were a go and 1 was a no-go. I will tell you your deficiencies for the one that was a no-go. So with you measured the straight line distance with no more than 5% error, but with the curved line, you forgot to find the difference with it on the bar scale, which resulted in you finding more than a 10% error. For you, we will retrain tomorrow, 1 April 2021 at 1500 hours. We will meet in this same location and have on this same uniform. Everybody else, good job. All right, so in conclusion, we went over how to measure the straight line distance on the map with no more than 5% error, and the curved line distance on the map with no more than 10% error. And we'll go over the risk assessment again for today. So overall, the risk was low. We didn't experience any issues with wildlife. Everybody was well hydrated and bought their water source. And the weather wasn't inclement weather. All right, so I will now move into a quick AAR of today's lesson. All right, can I get any sustains on today's lesson?
Good confidence.
Cool.
Great lesson.
Cool.
Knowledgeable instructor.
Cool. Can I get any improvements on today's lesson?
Location.
Cool.
Airplane noises.
Cool. All right, so now that today's lesson is over with, I will do a final uniform inspection. So make sure you all have your flick, your ACH, your iPro, your gloves, your water source, and make sure you do not forget your weapon. Now that we are done with today's lesson, I will gather up all my materials. All right, I have gathered all my materials, and now I will do a quick police call of the area just to make sure there's no unnecessary trash. All right, are there any further questions for today's lesson? All right, so that will conclude my lesson for today. Sergeant Chandler, this concludes my CIT assessment.